Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the next episode of Thrive Talk. And today we're talking about Bitcoin versus Bitcoincash, till death do us part. So, Gerard, welcome to this episode. I think this is it's relevant, and people need to know. We've had a lot of questions from people asking us, what's the difference? Is Bitcoin there or not there? So I'm basically saying, did you survive the Y2K of Bitcoin?
Yes, we're sitting here still. Thank you very much for having me again. It was a very, very interesting episode. I think everything has built up to this climax, and then there was a lot of people out there that thought, all right, Bitcoin is going to crash now. And a lot of doomsayers as well. But you know what? We will always have them. And it actually just speaks of ignorance.
Yes.
Rather than anything else.
So there's basically three questions. The first one is, did Bitcoin crash? Second thing is, what's different? And the third thing is the implementation or the implications of the changes.
Yeah, I think let's start with the main question, and that is, did Bitcoin survive or did it crash? And if you purely look at the price as an indicator of the public's confidence, yes. I think that speaks a lot.
Volumes, yes.
Because during this whole supposed crisis, the price hardly fluctuated. Yes, yeah. It was very steady.
I think it was the most stable period in Bitcoin pricing that we've seen in a very, very long time.
Yes, and that in itself, it was a major vote of confidence from the public or the Bitcoin community, the users in the system. That's the one thing. So yes, Bitcoin did survive the hard fork.
Okay, good. So the next question coming, what's different?
Yeah, if you look at it, people now wants to know, and I've seen that question coming up on some of the chat groups, is there a difference between Bitcoin and Bitcoincash? Is Bitcoincash something else, or is that Bitcoin? I think there's a bit of a cloud around there. So the straight answer is yes, there is a difference between Bitcoin and Bitcoincash. Bitcoincash has broken away from Bitcoin and is now yet another altcoin that was created in and amongst all the altcoins. Now, for those that doesn't know and understand the term altcoin, if you look at cryptocurrencies, the main flagship, the one that came out of the blocks first, is Bitcoin. It's setting the direction of where the cryptocurrencies is heading, and subsequently a whole lot of other projects was initiated, and all of those projects essentially created different coins, alternative coins to Bitcoin. Hence that whole pool is known as altcoins. So when Bitcoincash broke away from the core ledger or the blockchain, which is Bitcoin, it also basically created another altcoin. So Bitcoincash is an altcoin.
Okay, so basically, let's just quickly go back. And tell people what is the blockchain, and that they can understand the difference between the main blockchain with Bitcoin and what happened to Bitcoincash.
Yes, you need to understand. It's going to be a bit technical, but we're going to keep it simple that people like us can also understand it. Take it from the core technology, which is the blockchain. Now, the blockchain is a technology that enables cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin. And Bitcoin was the first to take this technology and then created a coin. What made Bitcoin unique, and hence also the huge following or acceptance in the public, is that it is almost like a historical ledger recording transactions. That's it. So if you join the community, you create a wallet for yourself, that's a transaction into the blockchain. When you now transact, and buy or sell Bitcoins, those transactions are recorded in the blockchain. And it's all historical transactions. And the dynamics, the whole, and I think would like to say the brilliance of this whole concept, and that is what's making the concept of the blockchain so effective, is that those transactions are recorded on multiple nodes that's widely distributed in the community. So there's no central office, there's no central company, there's no central government agency that has any control over this. There are more, for blockchain in particular, there are more than 9,000 nodes where this blockchain is hosted by private individuals that has volunteered their services and the equipment to host this on behalf of the community. So it's widely distributed out there.
Yes.
And what's happening is every 10 minutes, when a new block of transactions are being resolved and added to the chain as the new block, that thing needs to be replicated to all these nodes. And in that, even whilst on the one hand it is a brilliant technology and a brilliant concept, because now you truly have a decentralized system that's not subject to being hijacked.
Interest.
Yes. And one individual doesn't make the calls, and it's almost it's a new implementation of a democracy. It's almost more democratic than a democracy itself.
Yes.
From the perspective that you've got 9,000 people hosting this, and the moment you see a monopoly starting to take place somewhere, the community can work it out like a cancer.
Yeah.
They can get rid of that.
Yes.
Whilst if you look at from a political perspective, the concept of a democracy is everybody vote and we vote for a leader. But now that leader is dictating the show. In cryptocurrencies, with the technology and the way that the blockchain is implemented, yes, everybody still votes, but we don't vote for a central leader which now control the show. The community is still in charge, and the community still dictates the show. So the moment you see one party trying to hijack the community and take control, and that's essentially what has happened in the Bitcoin community, the community can now decide whether to follow him or not. And if they don't want to follow him, but he's persistent in pulling the community in his direction, you're going to get this crisis that we had in Bitcoin recently, where he's trying to lobby for more and more support, and the community is trying to move away from that, and it eventually, one of the two parties must give way, and if they can't, one party must break away. And that is what has happened. So this community has broken away. So just to one step back in terms of the reasons, is the blockchain has grown in size over time, and it has reached a point where, and you must understand this, the blockchain is basic simple data. It's not heavy overheads in terms of complex spreadsheets or images and stuff. It's basic raw text data that's grown into a single file, which is the whole blockchain, which is a history of all the previous transactions. It has grown in size up to about 130 odd gigs, and hence you sit with a situation where, because of the popularity and the public take on Bitcoin, which is now increasing and it's almost growing exponentially, has started to create a bit of a bottleneck.
Yes.
In the sense that the blockchain, in the current implementation thereof for the Bitcoin, is using 1 megabyte sizes for each new block. But now there's a whole pool of transactions waiting to be resolved.
Yes.
And they cannot squeeze in enough transactions into a 1 megablock size anymore.
Yes.
To service them fast enough.
Fast enough, yeah.
And within the community, they were looking at solutions. And that's why one solution was, listen, let's take a component of the transaction process outside, run it parallel, and increase the speed and the number of transactions that we can resolve. And that is what SegWit is. It's segregated witness.
Witness, yes.
So that was the one proposal that was on the table, and I think that proposal received the majority vote
yes.
from the community. Another segment within the community suggested, listen, let's rather go for a bigger block size, which will now enable them to resolve more of these pending transactions faster, but in the process they also managed to accommodate significantly more transactions. In other words, they're getting more transaction fees paid out per block. So it's a financial gain for them. But the majority of the community felt that it's not going to work for the community in the long run. There are other repercussions as well. But he was persistent in moving that way as opposed to moving with SegWit. And that's where they've reached this junction where there wasn't sufficient consensus as to which way to go, which in effect is actually not true, because the majority of the people went for SegWit.
Yes.
He just was persistent that no, he wants bigger block sizes. Yeah. So basically the community tell him, listen, you're not playing nicely in the sandpit anymore. Go and get yourself a little sandpit and you go and play that side.
Yes.
And so there was a hard fork. He created his own sandpit, and him and his mates are now playing in that sandpit. And yeah, that's Bitcoincash. It is now an altcoin. It is no longer part of Bitcoin. But if you look at the price of Bitcoin, if you look at the number of mining equipment that's allocated to the original blockchain, you can hardly notice.
Far exceeds.
Yeah. There's hardly a change.
Yes.
I mean, less than 30% of the resources that's available to mine the Bitcoin blockchain has migrated to now mine Bitcoin Cash as well. And some of those guys had cold feet and they started to pull back in.
Moving back. Yeah.
So from Bitcoin's perspective, not much has changed. Bitcoin is still Bitcoin. The blockchain is still running the way it is. It is still 1 megabyte in size.
There's still confidence in it because you can see it in the price.
Exactly.
And you can actually now see already that because of the volume moving up, the price is now going up again.
Yes. And it's in my opinion, probably one of the best things that could have happened to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin came from a community where it was a bunch of IT geeks that messed around with it. There was some public acceptance eventually because they do address a critical need in the community at large.
Yes.
And more people are looking at it as a solution, and there's a huge influx from the community to adopt this technology as a solution. And you can see that in the figures. I mean, at the time of this supposed crisis, the market share of blockchain or Bitcoin in US dollar value was something like 44 trillion US dollars, which is probably more than the US dollar itself. So already you've reached a point where the public says, listen, we've got more confidence in Bitcoin as a trading platform than in the US dollar.
Yeah.
And that's massive.
Yeah, that's huge.
And now these guys have broken off, and we say that, okay, they are small. They only got 9 trillion US dollars worth of coins. I mean, just look at the scale of where things are happening. So, as a public vote of confidence, look at the price, look at the acceptance. So, from Bitcoin's side, maybe things have stalled a bit, and we were testing the resilience of the concept. Can the concept facilitate a little argument amongst the mere mortals, us users, having a dispute as to which direction we should go and what we should do? And the technology, in my opinion, has come out with flying colors. It has demonstrated to the public or the world at large that, listen, the resilience is designed into this technology. It can survive human beings.
Credibility and integrity.
Yes. It is, in that sense, it has passed all the grades. And to the extent that these guys were persistent to try to pull it in a different direction, they just now got their own coin to play with, to their heart's content. Nobody's going to bother them. So basically Bitcoin is carrying on. Bitcoin Cash is now a new coin, a new kid in the block. It is built on the previous ledger of the Bitcoin. So in other words, they still got all the previous Bitcoin transactions. All the historical transactions up to that critical block is still there. But then the next block, they have now implemented changes in the system to start to accommodate 8 megabit block sizes. And that's why it's a hard fork, because
they will never be able to come back.
No, they can't, because their block sizes from that critical block onwards are 8 megabit in size, and from that perspective, it's incompatible with all the transactions that was mined in Bitcoin itself, which are still 1 megabit in size. So that's why the two are not compatible. That's why Bitcoin Cash is an altcoin. And it is now over to them. They are now in ICU. It is a newborn baby. The umbilical cord was cut. They are now on their own.
Yeah.
So from there onwards, they must now go and find support for themselves. They must now go and find and build a following for themselves. And based on the extent that that will work, they must now go and discover their own price. And run their own blockchain.
And now they have to compete with all of those other altcoins as well.
Yes. And that's an interesting thing. I don't know to what extent we can maybe accommodate in this session, just to touch on it for people to understand what's the difference between Bitcoin and altcoins. Because a lot of people are under the impression that altcoins are in direct competition with Bitcoin in the sense that they want to take over, they want to become the new Bitcoin. And that is not true. It is fundamentally a false perception, because altcoins are primarily created to address different issues, which Bitcoin doesn't intend to address.
Yes, that wasn't the objective from the beginning.
Now, if you look at Ethereum, for instance, and a lot of people say Ethereum is the next biggest contestant, Ethereum aims to create dynamic contracts. It's a different issue altogether.
Concept.
Yeah, so you create a different technology in order to address a different issue. So Ethereum in that sense will never directly compete with Bitcoin, because it's two different solutions for two different issues. And then also, if you look at other coins, I think another good example is Monero, which is also a very good contester. But Monero is all about secrecy and privacy. So they've almost abandoned efficiency as a first priority and made security and non-transparency as their first priority. So all their algorithms and all their solutions are catering for that. So in other words, if you want a secure, non-transparent coin, go and do your transactions in Monero. So to the extent that there's a need for people to have such a coin, to that extent Monero will have a following. But it's a different crowd than the Bitcoin crowd. So people must get away from the idea that you've got Bitcoin and then all the altcoins are now chasing behind Bitcoin in order to see if it can take it over. It's different solutions.
And if you actually bring it back to maybe make it more understandable for people, is you've got all these different currencies all over the world, and they are all still there.
Yes.
But most people use the US dollar.
Yes.
That's basically to bring it down to layman's terms. And yes, there's some currencies that just fall away, and we're not going to give them the name, but exactly that's what happens in the cryptocurrency world as well. Some of them will stay around and they'll have a function. The mainstream one will be Bitcoin, and some of them will fall away.
Yes. And we've seen it. I mean, there's over 4,000 altcoins that was created.
Yeah.
But if you look at the mainstream ones, I don't know, 180 altcoins, let's say. And you've got about 20, 25 odd, which are up there, which are drawing the attention, which getting public support to large or to a significant extent. So Bitcoin is still Bitcoin. No, it didn't crash. And it carrying on. As a matter of fact, it has passed a critical test where the public is now gave it vote of confidence in it. Exactly. And I think from here onwards, we're in for another.
And it's not just the public. So in summary, it's not just the public that's got confidence in it now. We've got now a significant amount of governments all over the world paying attention.
Yes.
And that's the crucial thing. So in summary, yes, there's a new kid on the block, but it's an altcoin. Bitcoin is still the Bitcoin. It survived the crash. So it basically comes down to Y2K. Everybody was concerned about Y2K at that stage. Nothing happened. exactly the same thing with Bitcoin, except that Bitcoin now has shown that it's going to go to ultimate new highs. We're going to see a significant increase in the Bitcoin price. So my little nitbit or nugget for people is to get involved in Bitcoin today, because by the end of this year, a lot of people are going to make a lot of money by being involved in Bitcoin. So get involved in Bitcoin today and don't lose out on the opportunity. So remember, after this episode, the next success story, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Go and get your Bitcoin. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Paul Agulet from Uganda. I joined Thrive in Feb of this year, and I was introduced by Scott Smith from the USA. And amazingly, I have made over $600 right now as I speak, and just without doing a lot of work. But I have decided, I took up this decision 2 weeks ago to move this business, and it is really amazing on what I have so far made. Yeah, I'm looking forward at seeing things work out for Uganda, and please don't hesitate to be part of this upcoming and growing business. Thank you.